when we think about Curtis Mayfield, he was a one of a kind music genius. He was prolific innovator. He blended multi-genes, because when you listen to Superfly and the other stuff, there were so many different. There were jazz movements going on. There were the classical elements. There was a raw funk. There was the rhythm blue and the blues, all mixing together. So he understood the elements, and the people he worked with was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Pate, who is an academician as well.
Okay,
he's classically trained. These. So he used the best, and the best. Say no more.
Yeah, and the best alongside our talent. You see what happens when what I mean?
Yes.
Music, pieces of music which are absolutely excellent.
Sure. Affinity Xtra, be extra.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Xtra.
Yo, this is the boy here, Roger Moore here, and if you take to celebrating with gospel music of black origin, this is how we do it. We are going for the second part of a guy that I've barely heard before, Curtis Mayfield. And when you sing two songs, you go, oh, second, of course I've heard of Curtis Mayfield. And we heard about super fly, not super dry. Even while we're super dry, it's kind of fly. But we heard about super fly because it's a super high.
Yeah, man.
Don't know.
Yeah. The Superfly, as we say about the Superfly, it's about to celebrate its 50th year. Half a century, Half a century. A musical masterpiece. That's half a century.
And half a century, and we still didn't learn a lesson?
Well,
not all of us.
That's another interesting equation.
50 years on, and we still don't educate ourselves to realize that.
Remember that movie create a style, It was a fashion.
Let me go in right now. Right, guys. I am sick to death to people saying, Roger, move on, history. Okay, cool. If it wasn't for history, we wouldn't have law courts. Yeah?
Why would you want a law court if you know what you're doing wrong from morning?
So when we go into court,
yes,
they use previous cases in history to set the precedence law-wise going forward.
You always do that because whatever that's right, precedent. Yeah. Whatever the result of the previous trial proceeding, this is what the judge go on, and the law, the solicitors and the barristers and the counsel.
And without that, there'll be total chaos. That's sometimes how we operate in pure creative chaos.
Why do you think that the Bible is our benchmark? We have to refer back to it. Oh, sorry.
So ultimately, guys, we need to get on this now and recognize our history, because stop operating in a spiritual and creative chaos and thinking that you'll get success.
There are certain benchmarks, notice the word I use, certain benchmarks that are vitally important to civilization and progress. What we need to understand prior to white corporation using our ear products and all, that's another issue. A lot of the ear products were originally designed and developed by black entrepreneurs and scientists. Right? And where we're talking about the Windy City, which is Chicago, had a lot of black businesses down there. So it had some of the top black entertainment lawyers that came from there, sound engineers, and the list goes on. And these are the brothers that impact Michael Jackson and the other kids on the block.
Yeah, man.
Whatever.
And you say more. And just to give you an idea, God's Spirit Live, Kevin will be bringing out a detailed information about Chicago. So get ready for that feature coming open coming book. Let's get ready for that, man.
Get ready.
So hence why Kevin kind of knows all the stuff like the back of his hand right now. He's fresh off the office. But listen, we're gonna be talking about Curtis Mayfield, and talking about Curtis Mayfield and his his creative journey. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. That's gonna be go off. Right, so Curtis Mayfield, guys. Yeah, we touched base about him and his connection with Superfly and the revolution that Superfly did into a soundtrack for a black exploitation film, Superfly in 1972.
Correct,
but at the same time, just before that, 1970. He had a track that everyone knows, moving it up, whatever he's got, whatever track. I'm not gonna try it anyway. So yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But the reality show is that we want to go into Curtis Mayfield, the artist, a bit more today. We want to expand on that, explaining the people that he worked with, his other products, and what wider artists he worked with, and go into a bit more. So, bros, let's kick off, man. First of all, we know he's a church boy.
Yes, he's a church boy. His grandmother was an evangelist, and she went around the church circuit, so to speak,
and preaching.
People were familiar with Aretha Franklin's father. You know,
okay, cool.
It's all that network of connections. You see?
Yeah, cool.
Everybody know. Yeah, everybody know each other. The network of connections.
Yeah, man.
And so. He developed his practice or his musical skills working for his grandmother.
Cool.
And they used to go out. What was the name of the group again? They used to go. There's a trouble with what was the name
Caravans.
of the group? No, it wasn't the Caravan. It was another name they used. Was the Pilgrim something Pilgrim?
Are you talking about what Mayfield used to go around with?
Yes.
Northern Jubilee gospel gospel singers.
Yes. So they actually toured the gospel circuit. So that means they had connection with the staple singers.
Wow.
With the Candice Statton and the list goes
circuit,
on.
Yes, that's deep,
circuit, That's a circuit. I remember Sam Cooke was part of that circuit during that time, you see. You know.
I'm just looking into these guys themselves anyway. Still,
yes. Yeah. So this, of course, the legendary Jerry Buckler, the Iceman as they call him, a cool, soulful dude who did Only the Strong Survive with Gamble Enough. That's another interesting situation there. But Curtis Mayfield was so impacting that he worked for all the major labels that BJ Record. He did stuff for BJ Record. He did stuff for the legendary R&B label called OK, which with Monkey Dance was one of the first songs he wrote that became a top 5 on the pop charts, Billboard pop charts. Monkey Dance, a million seller actually, and there were several other million sellers that Curtis Mayfield wrote, or big hits. When we say big hits, we're talking about records that did about 800,000 copies, There's big movements. 800,000 copies, 700,000 copies. Would be today, of course, some of them would be gold certified because of the amount of units they moved.
Jeez.
Right. And remember, a lot of people don't realize that the gentleman by the name of Carl Davis, who was the executive for OK Records, which a lot of the classic R&B singles came out of during the 60s, prior to Brunswick label that features the Shy Lights and so on and so forth. Used Curtis Mayfield a lot to actually create, because Curtis Mayfield was a serious lyricist, right? So he was a brilliant storyteller. He studied poetry quite a lot. So he was into lyrical contents and poem elements and devices. Okay, so and another interesting thing with Curtis Mayfield, he was very cognizant of the times. So when you listen to things like "Move On Up," Amen, I'm a Fool for You, and so on, they're all talking about the black experience, the struggle. And he was instrumental, his vocals were instrumental in the civil rights movement.
So when the Amen track, Amen.
Yes.
Did he write that?
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think the writing?
I thought you just teeth from church.
No, man, the brother write it. What are you talking?
But we sing that like it's normal.
No, that is a Curtis Mayfield song. Amen, 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 amen.
Yo, that's it.
We can check it out to confirm.
Yeah.
But it's originally recorded by The Temptation. The Temptation, which Curtis Mayfield, Jerry Butler was the featured vocalist first, and they recorded a track which several historians regard as the hushing of soul music. The lyrics, the harmonies, was the beginning of the soul movement, as they call it, the birth, where soul went from secretness to pop, the transform. One of the early songs now.
Because if I was saying to Kevin when I was listening to a bit of the music there, and it reminds me of a Barry White, like a prelude towards Barry White.
Oh yes, yes, because Barry White was listening to that. He was listening to the strings, what was going on.
Yeah, so you get these strings, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's right.
Before
That's
the actual strings, not no synthesized strings. You got non-synthesized strings on top of these grooves. You know what I mean? And it sounded like yo, and they weren't the ordinary strings because Kevin will expand on this, man, but they worked with not no Fred around the corner string arranger. They worked with the best of the best to get the right strings in place, mate.
Well, when we think about Curtis Mayfield, he was a one of a kind music genius. He was prolific innovator. He blended multi genes, because when you listen to Superfly and the other stuff, there were so many different. There were jazz movements going on. There were the classical elements. There was a raw funk. There was the rhythm blue and the blues all mixing together. So he understood the elements, and the people he worked with was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Pate, who is an academician as well.
Okay,
he's classically trained. These. So he used the best and the best. Say no more.
Yeah, and the best alongside our talent. You see what happens, man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Music, pieces of music which are absolutely excellent. But what I noticed now is that he's got a few good albums. Yeah, no, obviously Wild Soul, Superfly, you got a track Moving On Up. But he started to kind of like get quieter and quieter. But he's not like his life got quieter and quieter.
No, not particularly, because this what actually transpired. Although he was not the main mover and shaker after he peaked about around 76. Let's Do It Again was his last major one, which was number one for the staple singers. That was the movie that Sean Sidney Poitier was the director of. It was a major hit movie at the box office. However, the thing about Curtis Mayfield is the people were using his tracks globally.
Okay.
There's a lot of people recording his tracks, his songs. Oh yes, he's a very successful lyricist. He's probably one of the top 50 songwriters in the world.
Okay, cool.
Because his music, he did a lot of stuff that people use. Look at Bend It Like Beckham, the movie. Moving Up is featured in it.
Wow.
Yes.
That track, you must admit, moving on, that is used on everything. Yeah,
listen to the percussion in it. Let's just look at some of the guys that he worked with, the studio guys.
Go on.
Okay. Phil Upchurch, one of the top studio musicians of all time, that work on the Off the Wall album. Mr. What would you say? Mr. Phil Upchurch was one of the key background to the Chicago soul sound.
Okay.
Yes,
Alright.
He was you could regard him as how would I put it? You could regard Curtis Mayfield He was used by Curtis Mayfield as his right-hand man in terms of interpreting things and how he looked. This is another brother. We could do an analysis on, because he's one of the unsung heroes of soul music in terms of session men.
Okay, cool.
I regard him in the same way as I regard some of the key brothers on the West Coast who worked on the Thriller album in the same breath. He's probably maybe in the top 50 best studio session men of all time. In the same breath as Nathan East, Marcus Miller, and so forth.
Jeez.
Oh yes.
Marcus Miller, you know.
When I say Marcus Miller, I'm not. This is
Marcus Miller.
Marcus Miller.
Help! Definitely a crazy one. So when you're looking at maybe there's other artists, and there's another track. People Get
Ready. People Get Ready is from the Impression period. Before he went to get solo, he was the lead vocalist for the Impression.
Was he?
Yes,
he was actually in the Impressions.
Of course.
Okay, sorry guys, I'm just
yes, he was. Yes, he was in the Impressions. Yes.
That's another big tune that everyone sings.
Yeah. Now, when we talking about the Impression and so on, we have this brother here, Bob.
Yeah.
Now, these brothers are very key to Curtis Mayfield's success. All these brothers are mentioned to you were the musicians of the day in Chicago. Clifford Davis. Clifford Davis was Carl Davis' brother. This is a serious brother here. He was a music manager. It's not the British one, but there's the Clifford Davis I'm talking about. Is one of the best studio musicians in Chicago.
Crazy.
So this brother here, Henry
Gibson. Yeah.
It was his regular percussionist. When you hear those sounds, this is the brother.
Fair play.
This is the brother who defined. He said, born in the United States, Master Henry began working on the streets of Chicago. While a young man, he performed for the Operation Push with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. That's where he came. Yes.
You know what? You know, I saw him. We were watching Soul.
Yeah.
What's that Soul?
Yes, the Summer of Soul.
So Summer of Soul.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because don't forget, Jesse Jackson was on that.
Yeah.
With his band.
Yes, that's right. His band was. Let me see. Let's go back a bit. His
like
band
a brass band?
It was the Operation Push. It was a classical string band.
Yeah. He must be in it.
Yes, it was orchestra.
Yeah.
And my brethren was in it. Yeah.
Wow.
Playing on stage. Yes.
You see how anyway, still we just need to pattern up as a church over here, because we don't realize when we fight for right causes, we develop and create great men.
Yeah. This brother we're talking about, he died in Europe, but he died in Stockholm actually. This legendary brother. In 2002, but he was one of the best percussionists that came out of this soul community. Yeah. Listen to it. You hear his percussions. They're extraordinary.
Definitely.
Moving up. That's him on it. Superfly, that's him on it.
Jeez. And that's the key thing as well. What I like with Curtis, he gets the right people in to do the job, and I think
he doesn't apologize.
That's a massive lesson.
It doesn't matter.
That's the way we have to realize, guys. It's not no friend thing when you're trying to create a hit. It's about doing the hit itself. And nailing it from there. So with Curtis Mayfield, so ultimately he's made a shed load of money after his career started to peter off in the 70s.
Yes.
He's got here that he's, like you said, he's on some Superfly. He's recorded tracks, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Aretha Franklin.
Yes, that's right. Soundtracks. Yes.
Soundtrack for Sparkle in 1976.
That's correct.
And the staple singers now on the soundtrack in 1950. Let's Do It Again.
Yes, that was also a big hit. That was a crossover. That was a number one pop single, number one.
Let's Do It Again. I can't even think of it. I can't even think of
Let's
it.
Do It Again. Yeah. That was a monster. That was a monster hit.
The Staple Singers is the gospel group.
Oh, their roots is in gospel, but they were message. They did message songs. Message.
So they were like Sounds Blackness before Sounds Blackness.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can't see them as a gospel group. What?
They are started as a gospel group because their first major hits was on the black-owned label VJ Records.
Okay, and when he teamed up with Mavis Staples,
That's
using
right.
exclusively on 1977 film soundtrack, Piece of the Action.
Yes, that's right. That's
Notice how they had to do all these soundtracks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh yes.
Featuring Bill Cosby
And Sidney Poitier.
I want to see. I want to check that one. Check that there still. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, cool. So it seems like like again we go with this on there, and it's like also he's into film scoring big time. But it looks
well. Actually, let's put the record straight here.
Go on.
He was the first outside of Quincy Jones herself. He was the first black brother outside of Hollywood that had a succession of major film soundtracks that's generated over $1 million and above gross earning. Did you hear what I said? That came out of the Curtin label and the Curtin recording studio,
which was owned by himself.
Yes. Right?
Wow. According to this, Curtis Mayfield was married twice.
Yes,
Amen
that's
to the
correct.
two sisters.
Yes.
And had 10 children
Yes.
from different relationships.
Yes.
Amen to the children. You are still got residual incomes unless the will got mashed. You got mashed up in the will.
Yes. His family is taken care of, brother. His children run his publishing company, just like Barry White. I repeat, just like Barry White, his children are involved in the ching ching.
Money, you know what I'm saying? He just have things set up there, man. Absolutely
They have it
crazy.
set up because before he died, we have to remember now. Before he died, he had two publishing houses. So, publishing, guys, is another major income stream. You know what I'm saying? This is where we go. This is where, as Quincy Jones said, it's vitally important that a creative entity knows the business part of things, the business equation. And what happens to when you do a song? How did you connect with the different publishing houses and who collects your royalties and how it comes? Because you got to remember, by the time the end of the 70s, Quincy Jones was accustomed to getting 6-figure income royalties, 6 to 7 figure. That's how. He was one of the biggest earning songwriters of the day.
But also he's a great songwriter, guys. But he can play the guitar quite well as well.
Oh yes, he's very extraordinary.
Listen,
his brother had a style.
Yeah, so his guitar playing. It says here, influence like Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley,
yes, it does,
Tracy Chapman.
Oh yes,
you know what I'm saying, Sly and the Stone, Marvin Gaye,
yes,
Stevie Wonder.
Oh yes,
and Sinead O'Connor. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he's got down here. Mayfield is ranked number 34 on the Rolling Stones list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time, and is number 40 of 100 singers of all time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
serious.
You know,
Yes, of course.
wow, wow.
Look, let's just put it this way. Let's put it this way with Quincy Jones. We're not talking about his studio albums. We're talking about the soundtrack albums. He's one of the first brother outside of Hollywood to have a succession of successful soundtracks on a black label. Let me repeat it: produced, released from a black label.
For black movies.
For black music.
Yeah, he wasn't the black guy that produced for was going to be a successful movie, white movie. And the thing is, if people go, why are you getting working with all these black movies for? Oh, you should mix it up a bit. Listen, guys, we've been forced on us part of the cultural re-education system. You've utilized white movies to educate, falsely educate people around the world, and independent black movies, independent Asian movies, independent African movies, independent Afro slave movies. All these independent movies express the trueness because they're not controlled by a narrative controlled by Hollywood. That means that the black guy dies first. But the black guys always, yes, this is a criminal movie, but the vibe that they had suits, had a certain hat, they have a little sophistication to them. But we were like, it's not just some stinky guy in the corner.
No. These you got to remember, Chicago and Philadelphia had what you call black mafias. You know? Oh, sorry, slip out. Oh, damn. There was a different mode of operation going on. These brothers, they control some serious turf. And there was a lot of money at stake. Yes.
That's like that. And he was there just giving the life and what it
was at the time. And we need to remember that during the time that Curtis Mayfield was around, there were black insurance companies, there were black banks, there were black this, there were black that, there were black law firms, there were black publishing houses, there were black advertisement agencies that would come out of Chicago before they got taken over and before they were squeezed out of business as usual. You know, some white brother complain, and then the money goes. That is another story. That's another story. But at the time, what is interesting, when Superfly come out, then Clive Davis was coming conscious of the fact that black music can actually sell at the same level as white music.
Yes.
And so another thing too, what they discover as well, that there were black professionals that could actually support a black artist without them crossing over.
Wow.
That's why Curtis May, yes. One of the principles that a lot of black labels did, or black divisions that were owned by the majors like RCA Records had a major, Capitol Records had a major division, gospel division, major black division, which one of the major artists at the time who actually recorded some of her stuff at Curtom label, the late Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole's daughter, Natalie Cole, actually record all their hits, many of them at the Curtom label, recorded. So some of the major hits that came out from the Capitol Black Division was recording in Chicago. Matter of fact, Chicago was the template that helped to build CBS, Columbia Records Black Division into a household name, because by then, when the 70s peaked, the Columbia Black Division was doing 100 million a year. Now that 100 million a year was some of the income of major white labels. 100 million. That in the 100 million you would have Michael Jackson Off the Wall. You have the Jacksons doing their thing. You have the Earth, Wind and Fire, Teddy Prendergast, the OJs, because they were distributed by Columbia. You know, they contracted. That's the same thing that Curtin was initially contracted to Buddha Record before he came over and went into Warner Records.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Because people don't understand that the move. When you think about Curtin label generating 20 million on Superfly, it grossed $20 million for the industry.
So he has money for a new mic.
Yes. And remember, Curtis Mayfield, that was not the only album that was generating big money. Curtis had other studio albums that was doing big
doing decent.
And I think about 5 of his albums. I think 5 of his studio albums went number 1 on R&B charts. Brother, serious.
Listen, guys. This sounds like a mean guy, man. Yeah. But listen, guys. Listen, we gotta be closing off, Kev, man. Yes. Sorry, man. I'm gonna shut this down, man, because this Curtis guy is. I'm not.
Yeah, because the thing about Curtis Mayfield, we're just doing a summary. If you really get into him, boy,
it's scary. He did some crazy stuff.
He did some phenomenal stuff. And he's, as you said, you see the stats, he's regarded as one of the movers and shakers of entertainment. Yeah.
Wow, guys, listen, if you didn't think, we could find out another artist that did great things from the Black Music History vault, I'm afraid we found one that's just in the top 5 so far we've done, you know what I mean? It's like, this is absolutely crazy. My brain's like, I can't do no more. I can't get any information. I need caffeine. You know what I mean? But anyway, so we're like, he's going, we're about to crash. But anyway, because that's better information. But listen, absolute salute to Curtis Mayfield, 100%. And we need to learn, and we need to pattern up, and we need to develop. Yeah, and learn from these guys or what they did. The key thing is they had a drive, they had a conviction, and they were definitely on it. But listen, this is Roger here on Affinity Extra. We're here to celebrate gospel music of Black origin, but at this segment right now, we are studying Black music history to understand what we can learn in the UK from the success stories, specifically in the UK, to develop our music industry. Because right about now, as being a Black creative, there's not much places to go. And there's literally zero support and blatantly baked racism, like we're apologizing being in the room. This is to make you realize that we need to stop apologizing, because they need to be apologizing to us. Simple thing. This is Roger, over now, alongside Kevin Tomlin, and we've got Black Music Historian.
As we celebrate Black Music History this month.
Brilliant.
Right on.
Bless, man.
Amen.
Hey, this is your Bishop. This is your Bishop from Rock Solid. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for clicking and subscribing, and also sending these videos to other people as well. We are so hungry to get your support. So remember, check us out on our website, and also check us out on Insta, and wherever you want to find us on Spotify. You can play us all day as well. And just make sure that you are supporting this channel, that we are developing our agenda towards music of Black origin, and that is gospel music with a message. So please walk with us on this journey. Bye now.